KHOU 11 News at 10 starts now.
We begin on Weather Watch tonight. Temperatures drop dramatically here, but North Texas is facing downright hazardous weather with freezing rain and sleet. Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport canceled hundreds of flights as crews work to de-ice the planes that are on the tarmac.
Mario joins us now with the very latest. Hey, Mario.
Yeah, it got so cold so quickly here in Houston that a hard freeze warning had to be issued this evening. It includes mainly the areas north of town, and you can see that these areas from Huntsville to College Station to Brenham towards Conroe and over towards the areas around Cleveland could see some problems tomorrow with pipes and, of course, your plants. Make sure they're covered, especially north of I-10. Their temperatures have already slipped into the 20s in places like Brenham and Columbus, as you can see here. In Metro Houston, it looks like the numbers are in the mid-30s. Spring, though, has dropped just below freezing. The Woodlands and Huntsville also below freezing now, and these temperatures, at least inside the Beltway, are in the low 30s. That's how quickly the temperatures went. Almost a 40-degree drop from the mid-70s today into the 30s early this evening. It was very dramatic across the area. Enough of a cold weather plunge into the Houston area that we did see a little bit of sleet for just a while north of town. That has since gone away. We did see a little bit of a glazing on the freeways around the Brenham area. Some of the metal surfaces and some of the higher bridges did have some problem with that, but it looks like tonight that has since passed. We are still looking at the very cold rain continuing towards the Galveston area, and those showers could continue till the early morning hours, as you can see here. By morning, we could be very close to the freezing mark, so make sure you tune in to us early in the morning with Cheetah Johnson. If we do see any rainwater that does pond on some of the roadways, the elevated roadways, we could have some problems with some icing, so we're going to monitor that for you throughout the night and bring you the latest tomorrow morning. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Mario. Energy officials are asking people to conserve electricity tomorrow morning. ERCOT says to keep thermostats around 68 degrees, and they're also asking folks to avoid running large appliances like ovens and washing machines. During the last few cold snaps, ERCOT came close to issuing rolling blackouts.
New tonight, a massive warehouse fire in North Houston. The structure is near 45 North in Tidwell. It's vacant while no lives were lost. The wind caused the fire to turn into an inferno in less than a half hour.
Malini Basu is live at the scene with more. Malini.
Well, that's right, Reka and Rucks. It's been about 2.5 hours and firefighters are still on scene. But the good news in all of this, no injuries have been reported. This here is a live look at the scene right now. We, as a matter of fact, are on top of the live truck. This is what it looks like. Again, 2.5 hours later, firefighters are still on scene. And you can see traffic is backed up. But let me show you what it looked like just about a half an hour ago. This is all happening at a vacant apartment building. I should say vacant apartment buildings on the 4900 block of the North Freeway. That's just before you exit Tidwell. We're told there are over 150 firefighters on scene. Now, just when firefighters thought they had the building all knocked out, the flames knocked out, the flames started to spread again to the other vacant buildings. Also, 45 South Feeder Lane here is shut down by Tidwell. Officers will not allow anyone to go anywhere near the fire. Now, back out here live, I just want to show you guys what 45 North and South look like right now. You can see there is heavy traffic. You definitely want to avoid this area while the firefighters get all of this in control. And we know that arson investigators are also on their way to the scene to see exactly what is going on. As soon as we learn more about this, we, of course, will let you know. So again, the good news in all of this, luckily no one is hurt. For now, we are live in North Houston tonight. Malini Basu, KHOU 11 News.
Malini, thank you. A man is facing murder charges tonight after deputies say he shot a man during a fight with his ex-wife. Now, it happened earlier this afternoon at a home on Glen Hagen and in northwest Harris County. Witnesses tell us the woman's ex-husband was at the home to pick up their children when they started fighting. Her new boyfriend started to defend the woman when her ex-husband pulled a gun and shot him. This all happened in front of their 11-year-old daughter.
I did what I could. I tried to stop him from bleeding and everything. But
what did you do?
I just tied up. It was me and some other guys helping him. We just tied the stuff around him to stop him from bleeding because it wasn't looking too good.
The boyfriend was life-flighted and later died at the hospital. The ex-husband was arrested on the scene.
Two law enforcement officials are hospitalized in a suspected drunk driving crash. Investigators say a man T-boned a Galveston police officer's cruiser after running a red light. Officer Ashton Gill and Galveston County Deputy David Rojas were both injured. Investigators say the driver of the other car, Douglas Ashmore, had been drinking. He has been charged with DWI. This is the second time in a week an officer has been hit by a drunk driver in Galveston. Last week, if you remember, retired HPD officer Dana Tweedy was killed after a suspected drunk driver plowed into his motorcycle. The driver in that crash has also been charged.
Now to chaos as Mardi Gras crowds refused to leave the Strand last night. Police say they were forced to use pepper spray, and it was all caught on camera. Marcelino Benito has more.
24 hours ago, streets were packed. The party down in Galveston in full swing.
You always get a few idiots. You got 10,000 plus people out here, everyone drinking.
Today the music's still going, but the crowd's gone as the island tried to shake off last night's hangover.
It's, I guess, starting to be a problem with people, just getting out of hand.
Around 1 this morning as Galveston PD swept the Strand area.
Blowing whistles, beads were flying, beer bottles were flying.
Vendors and residents who live here along the Strand say they saw it all happen. They were snapping photos and video from their balconies. A large group lost control, didn't respond to police commands, refused to leave the area. Then Galveston PD Chief Henry Pareto says they really crossed a line.
We're not going to allow some people that come from another city to throw bottles and attack our officers.
Police fired off 2 canisters of pepper spray to regain control. Michelle DeMarchi was tearing down her sales tent when she felt it.
Oh, it made your eyes burn. I know my eyes were burning.
19 people, including this man, Noe Andrade, a confirmed gang member, were taken into custody.
Cops immediately charged them and tackled a few people acting like fools.
Police say they had no choice but to take action.
That response to resistance it's a game changer.
And with 3 more days of partying left down on the island, folks along the Strand hope the good times can continue to roll.
We don't want it to ruin it for people that come to have a good time.
Marcelino Benito, KHOU 11 News.
The 19 people arrested face public intoxication and disorderly conduct charges. Galveston police are also considering additional charges for inciting the crowd.
Okay, well, it may be cold here in Houston, but it is much nicer in Central Florida where the Astros are busy with spring training.
That is true, and Bob Allen is here with sports right now.
And I'll be headed there later, so I'll get out of this cold weather, yeah. Now, no, Houston's a football town, but baseball is getting ready to crank up, and spring training is underway. Some of the guys may cramp up. And enough with the grousing that the Astros only won 51 games last season. They're sticking to the plan of building from within, and it's going to start paying off, I promise. And you'll start seeing that this season. Today at spring training, they beat the Braves 7-4. Jared Cosart got his first start of the spring, pitching 2 scoreless innings. Catcher Carlos Corcoran drove in 2 runs, and as I said, will be headed to spring training this week. We'll be reporting back starting Tuesday, and mainly I'll be trying to familiarize you with some of these guys who are wearing our hometown uniforms this year. A lot of people don't know who they are. On KHOU 11 Sports Extra, right after this newscast, more on the Astros, Rockets, some great golf shots, our athlete of the week, and the Texans, and what they're going to do with that #1 pick.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks,
Okay.
Bob. Coming up, imagine going for a job interview only to find out that you've been turned down for a criminal history you don't have.
And I don't have any criminal history at all, so, I said that wasn't true.
The uphill battle one woman faces to clear her name.
Plus, a road rage call that turned into something much darker in Harris County.
And a pastor turning an embarrassing YouTube moment into an advantage.
A call about a road rage incident turned into something deadly this afternoon. Harris County deputies were called to Winfern and West Little York shortly before 4:30. We are told a woman and her 3 small children were in the process of moving out of that woman's ex-boyfriend's home. The ex-boyfriend then began to chase the woman's vehicle. Investigators say he was able to get her to stop her car, and then he pulled a gun.
As deputies were arriving, they encountered the suspect as he was standing with the pistol in his hand. They ordered him to drop the weapon several times. He did not comply. He then discharged his weapon 1 time, killing himself.
Witnesses say the suspect fired at the car several times. The woman and her 3 children were not hurt.
A woman is seriously burned in an early morning house fire. It happened on Blue Jay Twin Circle near Bender in Humble. A neighbor says the woman ran to her home begging for help. She had burns on her face and arms and was taken to Memorial Hermann in stable condition. The woman says she may have left a candle burning, but firefighters are still trying to figure out the cause.
Still to come, a bizarre case of mistaken identity that landed one Texas woman behind bars.
And a woman speaks out about her terrifying journey to America and how she ended up pregnant and in shackles on the U.S.-Mexico border.
And winter returns to Texas. Mario is tracking the huge temperature drop and what we can expect for the morning commute. I want to give you an update on that massive warehouse fire in North Houston.
Right now, the wind caused the fire to turn into an inferno in less than a half hour. Malini Basu again live at the scene with an update. Hey, Malini.
That's right, Royka and Rucks. The good news in all this, as I mentioned before, there are no reported injuries, and you can see directly behind me the fire is out. Firefighters right now are just putting out some hot spots. You can see there's still several firefighters on scene. We're told there are about 150 firefighters. All of this started just around 7:20 this evening. We're told that these are vacant apartment buildings that just went up in flames. It's happening in the 4900 block of the North Freeway. Now, I just spoke to fire officials a little while ago, and they told me this is a wind-driven fire, so it's making it really difficult, of course, on the cold temperatures, and also there are wind gusts of up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. Now, just to show you, look at traffic over here, 45 north and south. You can see it's pretty much backed up. Now, if you're trying to take the feeder road there over on 45 south, it is shut down. Investigators will be here throughout the night, as well as firefighters. So again, the good news in all of this, luckily no one was hurt. Now we are live in North Houston. Malini Basu, KHOU 11 News.
And now to the developing story in Ukraine. The crisis continues to escalate. Russia has taken over Crimea without firing a shot, prompting President Obama to call European leaders Sunday looking for a way to rein Russia in. Allison Harmelin has the latest.
Troops with no markings on their uniforms surrounded a Ukrainian naval base in Crimea Sunday. The soldiers spoke Russian and drove tanks with Russian plates. They demanded that the Ukrainian soldiers disarm. No shots were fired. The new Ukrainian government is mobilizing its troops, bracing for war and asking for help.
This is not the threat. This is actually the declaration of war to my country. We are on the brink of the disaster.
Russian forces are already in control of Crimea. But in Kiev, thousands of Ukrainians filled the streets. One sign read, "Putin, hands off Ukraine." The United States is demanding that Moscow pull back their army or suffer sanctions reminiscent of the Cold War. Secretary of State John Kerry will travel to the Ukraine on Tuesday and says the U.S. and its allies are putting Russia on notice.
All of them, every single one of them, are prepared to go to the hilt in order to isolate Russia with respect to this invasion. They're prepared to put sanctions in place. They're prepared to isolate Russia economically.
Kerry made it clear the U.S. has no plans to use military force against Russia, but did suggest the U.S. would boycott the upcoming G8 summit if Moscow continues down its current path. Allison Harmelin, KHOU 11 News.
NATO held an emergency meeting in Brussels. Britain's foreign minister flew to Kiev to support its new government.
New tonight, a North Texas woman says she was denied a home rental and a job application because of a criminal history, a history she says she simply doesn't have. Rebecca Lopez has the story.
Oh, Lord, I hope so.
When Tanya Frazier went to apply for a job, she was shocked by what happened next.
The HR company from my new job called me and said that I hadn't passed the background check and were asking about some criminal activity.
Frazier was baffled and began her own internet search to find out what happened. She found this arrest report for criminal trespassing at Parkland Hospital. It has her name, her date of birth, and her driver's license number, but she wasn't arrested.
And I don't have any criminal history at all, so, you know, I said that wasn't true.
The woman arrested is Shannon Gash. She spent 28 days in jail. She's a former nurse with a criminal history of prescription fraud. Both women share the same birth date and worked at Parkland at one time. The arresting officer from the Dallas County Hospital District's police department used Frazier's name instead of Gash's on the report.
When they went into their computer system, they brought up my name, and basically the arresting officer had made a computer error and had clicked and joined our names together.
Frazier filed a complaint with the police department and they investigated. According to police documents, they found the arresting officer did not cross-reference to match the information and applied the information in error. They told Frazier to keep a record of their findings to provide proof she has no criminal history. But that isn't helping. When you run a background check, it still comes up. She was recently turned down for a home rental, and the documentation provided by Parkland didn't help.
I just need to get it off my record.
Rebecca Lopez, KHOU 11 News.
Parkland Hospital told Frazier there isn't much they can do, but they have issued a statement claiming that they are taking additional steps to resolve this issue as quickly as possible.
We are on weather watch tonight. Temperatures have been dropping fast in North Texas, and conditions there have gotten dicey for people trying to get around. Todd Unger has more.
When temperatures plunged some 70 degrees in just 24 hours. North Texas got an all-too-sudden reminder that Old Man Winter isn't done yet.
Man, it's just drastic change. This is out of the blue for them.
Truckers pulled over and hunkered down. 18 wheels or not, the drive through Denton County was anything but smooth.
I'll pull it over and just wait. I figure it's better late than not get there. I've seen a lot of spinouts and just like fender benders.
I-35 East near Corinth was one of the most treacherous areas. Drivers inching along the interstate and frontage roads, trying to make any type of progress they could.
It's just ice. The whole road's just ice. People are getting stuck on hills.
It wasn't just hills. The driver of this car was lucky to make it out of this rollover near the Texas Motor Speedway along I-35W earlier in the afternoon. Sand and salt trucks, few and far between, if at all.
Not one.
TxDOT said it was responding to areas along interstates as needed. But the best way to stay safe was no doubt to stay off the roads altogether as a winter storm came through for hopefully the last time.
Todd Unger, KHOU 11 News.
We don't quite have those conditions here, but man, the weather
Thankfully.
took a turn today.
It certainly took a turn, and Mario, it does look like it's going to get pretty cold out there soon.
Very cold. The temperatures may drop another 2 or 3 degrees by morning. We could see very close to the freezing mark, if not just below the freezing mark in the areas north of town. And if you live north of I-10, you may want to go ahead and cover some of that tender vegetation or some of those plants that are trying to bud, because that is going to be an issue. They may be damaged by the fact that we do see extra cold temperatures for this time of the year. We don't quite see freezes this late into March. Certainly, our average last freeze is usually the third week in February, but boy, is it cold today. The temperature is really dropping dramatically throughout much of the evening and afternoon hours. The gusty winds are in play. We do have a hard freeze warning, as we told you earlier, for areas north of town, and this is really where you need to protect your pipes and your plants, and of course bring your pets in, because we're looking at extremely cold weather until 9 o'clock tomorrow. We started off the weekend really nice. It was 83 degrees on Saturday, and then on Sunday the temperatures hit 77. The clouds were out for much of the day, so it kept the temperatures down. But look where we're going. We're going into territory that is well below average both on Monday and Tuesday. Add to that the overnights, which are going to be also in the low to mid 30s on Monday and Tuesday. We really don't start warming up until we get into the beginning of the weekend, and then we see a temperature drop with another frontal boundary coming around Saturday. But this is how close the sleet got into the areas just north of the metro area, northern Harris County, around Conroe. We saw a little bit of sleet there around the Huntsville area. All of that is now pretty much dissipating, as you can see, but we still have some very cold rain washing up along the Galveston Bay area and down on Galveston. But check out these temperatures. It's freezing in Conroe, below freezing in Brenham, College Station, Huntsville, but then add these winds, which are blowing at about 15 to 20 miles per hour, occasionally gusting to 25, and then you have these wind chills. And this is what you're going to deal with in the morning tomorrow. So dress in probably layers tomorrow. Make sure the kids are dressed in layers as they're waiting for the bus tomorrow, because it's going to be bone-chilling cold, at least by our standards. Houston at 30 degrees, Hobby at 32. That's what it feels like right now, and it feels like 34 on Galveston Island. Actual air temperatures will be in the upper 20s to mid-20s if that's not cold enough for you. By the afternoon, we'll see a little bit of a recovery. I think we'll be into the 40s, but it's certainly not going to feel that warm when you factor in the fact that the winds are probably still going to be blowing at about 15 to 25 miles an hour. Temperatures will drop below freezing here in Metro Houston, especially north and west of the city. Pretty frigid morning. Katy at 29 and low 30s to mid 30s from Sugar Land, very close to the Pearland area. Here's how much progress the front has made all the way into Louisiana, southeast Texas, almost to Rockport. The temperatures, what a dramatic difference. Single digits in Amarillo, 70s earlier in the day, and still 70s in the areas of South Texas near the Rio Grande Valley. The front will continue to sail on south, much colder weather for the rest of the day. Sure looks like winter. An upper level storm system swings through late Tuesday with lingering rain showers perhaps early Wednesday. Here is that 7-day forecast. Again, it looks like wintertime for the first half. Add a cold rain to the mix Tuesday and Wednesday, and you have really a raw start to the day, both Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and no real significant recovery until the end of the week. And here comes, again, our spring forward weekend. It's coming up late Saturday evening. That usually means that springtime is around the corner, but in this case, we're going to have to wait a while, and that's the way it's been this winter so far. We've had to endure freezes, we've had to endure sleet, we've had to endure snow. The state of Texas certainly has not looks more like the state of Michigan in sometimes. At sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So lit personality
forecast.
Yes,
it has.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mario. U.S. immigration officials say pregnant women should not be held in detention centers unless they pose a threat. But tonight, we found a woman who was detained until right before she gave birth. Our border reporter, Angela Kucherga, has her story.
This woman from Honduras wanted her identity concealed so her family will never know what she endured as she tried to get to Houston to find work, or how she got pregnant. She says she was kidnapped, held for ransom, and repeatedly raped in a Mexican border town. After she escaped from her captors, she fled to the U.S. and was picked up by the Border Patrol. She says she told a female agent in San Diego she was pregnant and did not feel well, but said the agent told her a doctor is only called for medical emergencies.
Handcuffed with the chain around her waist and her hands and her feet, and that to me seems, well, we don't need to do that.
She was then put on a plane with other immigrants and sent to the El Paso Detention Center. After a pregnancy test came back positive, the Honduran woman says she was given vitamins and extra food, as well as medical care. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials tell us they take the health and safety of people detained here at the border very seriously, and that the agency is committed to providing timely and appropriate medical treatment. But the agency guidelines also recommend against holding most pregnant women in detention while their immigration cases are being decided.
We've seen many instances where they say, you know what, we don't want to detain these individuals and we're going to release them on humanitarian parole. And I think that is categorically the correct thing to do.
Just days before her daughter was born, the Honduran woman was released and brought to this immigrant shelter in El Paso. She spent about a week in detention, and during that time, she says she met 2 other women from Central America who were also pregnant. Angela Kucherga, KHOU 11 News.
A fight between a woman's ex-husband and her boyfriend ended violently at a Katy home last night. Authorities say the 2 men were arguing when the boyfriend pulled out a sword and stabbed the ex-husband. Then the ex-husband grabbed a vase and used it to strike the boyfriend over the head. Both men were taken to the hospital. The ex-husband is listed in serious condition. The boyfriend is stable. The woman was not hurt. It's unclear exactly why the men were arguing. Rosenberg police made an eventful arrest last night at a local apartment complex. Officers say they were responding to a call about a possible assault with a deadly weapon, and they found a loaded shotgun in a vehicle driven by Keandra Harrison. They say she refused to open the door and that she urinated on an officer during her arrest. Now, she faces several charges. Her father was arrested on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon.
A pastor in Virginia is getting national attention for a sermon that he did that didn't go as planned. It actually happened a couple of years ago while he was using a casket as a prop. Frankie Jupiter has the story.
Pastor Tom McCracken caught the attention of YouTube viewers and cable networks when his attempt to preach inside of a casket went well, a little sideways.
My goal was to put a casket up there and show everyone that death is not something to fear anymore, that through the gospel we have life, and it's only through the casket that we can experience, the healing that we long for.
McCracken says the measurements for his foot space wasn't enough and caused the casket to come crashing down. After the fall, he decided to upload the videos onto YouTube.
There's a lot of people that don't go to church. And so my goal was to try to get their attention, those unchurched people, unreached people, to watch a funny YouTube video, which is something everybody does. And then all of a sudden they see our church website, they hear the gospel.
The online videos didn't quite take off as much as McCracken was hoping. They only reached around 6,000 views. They landed in front of the eyes of networks like MTV and True TV. And tonight, Pastor McCracken will take his crashing debut on the network show World's Dumbest.
But the reality is, I think we can expose people to the message that we want them exposed to, even if it's by an unorthodox method. I don't think it matters. I think the bottom line is unchurched people are going to be tuning in for something church.
All right, coming up, a look at all of the big winners at the Academy Awards. Hollywood's biggest night is still rolling.
Yes, it is. In fact, it's been the tightest Oscar race in years.
Jared Leto took the first Oscar of the night for Best Supporting Actor for his role in Dallas Buyers Club. Lupita Nyong'o won for Best Supporting Actress for 12 Years a Slave. Frozen won Best Animated Feature Film. And no surprise here, Gravity took the award for Best Visual Effects as well as Sound Effects and Editing.
Excellent movie, but fans are still waiting to see who will win Best Picture. This year, there is no clear front runner.
We've got you covered on social media, where fans are also chatting about the Oscar fashions. We were talking about it in the newsroom.
Yes,
you heard us. We'll be sure to check it all out on our Facebook and Twitter pages. But right now, Bob Allen is here now with a look ahead to the KHOU 11 Sports Extra. Hey, Bob.
Yeah, guys, they're all going to switch over right before the best actor is announced and watch KHOU 11 Sports Extra. John Granado is on the desk with me tonight. We got a lot to talk about. Rockets looking good, but are they good enough to match up with the teams like the Miami Heat? We got a dramatic state championship for one of our local basketball teams and the story of three different coaches, with three different roads to success. So don't go anywhere. KHOU 11 Sports Extra starts right after this.